honestly usually count the first title I have as being a member of the Benton County 4-H Horse Corps, and that was basically a 4-H horse ambassador program more than a rodeo queen position, but it still gave me a lot of skills in public speaking, riding my horse, getting ready for that atmosphere of riding in a rodeo. And after that, it was only natural that I went on to become the Benton County Fair and Rodeo Queen in 2007. So after I was Benton County Fair and Rodeo Queen, it was my goal to also be the Philomath Frolic and Rodeo Queen, mostly because at that point I had really come to recognize and admire everything that Dale Ann was able to do. And she had been the Benton County Fair and Rodeo Queen as well, and then went on to be the Philomath Frolic Queen. Those are both my local hometown rodeos, and so that's really the same path that I wanted to follow, was to follow in her footsteps with the same horse that she had rode. And it didn't really work out the way I had thought, but you know, I went through the Philomath pageant, and you can't win them all. And Philomath, it kind of got the best of me. I didn't win that one. I worked really hard for it, and it's just one of those things that it's a learning experience. It's not about winning. It's about being the best you can. And so it gives you a lot of take-home lessons. And well, my plan was to be Benton County Fair and Rodeo Queen, and then the Philomath Frolic and Rodeo Queen, in that order, in that way. And it didn't work out that way, so I was a little bit lost for a while. It was very hard for me to take because I felt like I'd given it my all, and it wasn't good enough. And that's very, very hard, especially when you're standing out in the middle of the arena. There's all your family and friends, the whole communities are watching. You fail. And that's really hard to take. It took me a long time to overcome that. And I had a really strong support group elsewhere that helped me kind of overcome that, find my strength again, and be able to go forward from there. So the Queen title that I ended up trying out for next was what helped me find my inner strength, like I mentioned before, and that was of the 2009 Sweet Home Rodeo Queen. I was very close with the family that was involved there. In fact, their daughter that year was Benton County Queen. And they really kind of pulled on my heartstrings because with Benton County we'd been working so hard to build the program up to a very reputable, good program. And they'd been doing the same with Sweet Home. So it was a cause that I was near and dear to my heart, and they guilt-tripped me into doing it, but I am so glad they did, because that was how I overcame the disappointment that I felt at losing Philomath. And like I said, it helped me find my inner strength again, and I would never have been able to get any further along than I am today without Sweet Home. Sweet Home was an interesting year for me because I was actually only the Sweet Home Rodeo Queen for a couple months. They had troubles getting enough people to try out, and so they'd been postponing the tryouts, and that's when they eventually got me to try out. So I was crowned in about April, I believe, and then I went and tried out for Miss MPRA in September. And so it was a very, very short reign, and it was the Sweet Home Rodeo Committee, and particularly my advisor, that really encouraged me to do Miss MPRA. It was something I hadn't really thought about before, but it seemed natural. Benton County and Sweet Home and Philomath are all Northwest Professional Rodeo Association sanctioned rodeos. And what that means is that's the governing body for those rodeos. And so by being Miss MPRA, I would have the opportunity to promote and represent all MPRA rodeos throughout the Northwest, including the Philomath Frolic, Sweet Home, and Benton County. So it was kind of a way to give back to the whole association that I felt had really helped raise me as a kid and be a part of something bigger than myself. During and after Miss MPRA, everyone kept telling me, you should try out for Miss Rodeo Oregon. You really need to try out for Miss Rodeo Oregon. I know you're going to try out. And I was always like, no way. I'm never going to try out for Miss Rodeo Oregon. That's not something I'm interested in. I don't want to do it. And I was very adamant about it, and thoroughly everyone believed me, and here I am, 2013 Miss Rodeo Oregon, and I've been given a little bit of a flack from some people who had to tell repeatedly I was not going to do it. And the reason for that was the Northwest Professional Rodeo Association, to me, represents family, and it was so important for me. And a lot of people think of being Miss MPRA as a stepping stone to going on to be Miss Rodeo Oregon, and that was not my intention at all. MPRA was my priority, and it was my sole intent just to be Miss MPRA. But as a couple years went by and I really was watching, I thought, I can do this. I can be a good representative for the state of Oregon, and I don't want to look back and have any regrets later in life for not doing it. Part of being Miss Rodeo Oregon is that you go on to the Miss Rodeo America pageant and represent your state and compete for Miss Rodeo America. And so for me, I really wanted to just give it my all for one last shot, one last ride at the rodeo this year.